Hello everybody. My name is Pete Wood from DesignSpark at RS Components, and I'm here today with Savvas Valsamakis. And Savvas works for Molex, and you might know Molex actually for connectors. Connectors are something that they've been in for a long time. But actually, they have an amazing portfolio of antennas that go across various applications. So Savvas actually works in the business unit that looks after these, but he's also an applications engineer. And we're going to chat today about some of the antennas that they have in their portfolio and the types of applications that they fit into. So Savvas, thanks for joining us today. Really excited to speak to you.
Thank you for having me, Pete. Good morning.
Good morning. And yes, so why don't you show us, first of all, a little bit about Molex and what you have in your portfolio, and then let's move around and look at some of the applications that you guys are into as well.
Okay, sounds great. So let me share my screen here. Let me know if you can see the right one and not the one with the confidential information. Okay, so what I would like to start from saying a few things about Molex in general, what we have right now looking ahead. And of course, this drills down to what we as a business unit, the Molex Micro Solutions business unit, what we have in our sites as a target. So for Molex in general, the focus is the future of electronics, right? As you said, it's a company that goes a long way back, but we are a technology company, so we have to keep looking ahead. And we are trying to enable all the technologies that would make our society better and help advancement. So things that we are working on right now and we're looking ahead are autonomous vehicle electronics, everything that has to do with connected applications, from connected home to industrial IoT, and of course connected health or personal care products. So these are the things that we are working on, and we are trying with our products to enable these technologies.
Okay, cool.
The important thing is that we keep trying to stay in close contact also with our customers. So we are focused on our customers, and we are trying to be in touch with them either directly or together as a team with RS. And of course, the target is to identify, talk about the challenges that they are facing, and understand how we can make their job and their life in general easier by bringing out the right products, by also including and giving them the information that they need so that they can do their work more easily, and of course create more successful products. The way that we do that, we feel that has to be around our the things that we are really good at, the core competencies, and after that, of course, our core products, the products that are related to the things that we're really good at. So what you see also at the bottom of this slide is the overview of the products that we call core. And for the Micro Solutions business unit, again, the name says it all. It's about miniaturization. It's about doing things really small, compact, very reliable. The products that we are looking at here, the FFC connectors, FPC connectors, the miniature board-to-board connectors, are included in products today that everybody has in their pockets.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if you just told me that you have a device that does not have a Molex connector inside. And of course this extends to even IOs like the USB Type-Cs, but the topic of our discussion today is our antenna products. And our antenna products can really play across markets. The history with antenna products starts from the end of the 90s, I think. Yeah, pretty much. It's the end of the 90s. And it carries until today. We have been designing, developing, and manufacturing antennas for every major mobile device manufacturer that has been around since the end of the 90s. And we keep supporting these customers. However, what we realized a few years ago was, 3 or 4 years ago, was that the market, the ecosystem in general is changing.
Yeah.
When before we had a few major customers that were able to invest in developing their own custom antennas tailored for their devices. Now we have literally thousands of customers, not necessarily with endless resources, and sometimes also lacking resources, lacking the know-how of how to design an antenna in their device. So that's when we started expanding our off-the-shelf product portfolio with antennas, and that we can talk about today.
That's really cool. I guess antennas are kind of a bit of a dark art, aren't they? And I think that you said it there. I think designing a kind of an antenna to fit within your application can be really tricky to get right. So the fact that you've expanded your portfolio out, I mean, with the explosion of IoT and things like wearables now as well, you know, it's very challenging in these very small spaces to get good performance. So I think this is great if you've got solutions that are kind of ready to go almost off the shelf than somebody having to design their own from the ground up, pardon the pun, with the antennas. So, but yeah, this is really cool. So I guess application-wise, you said earlier, Savvas, you cover a whole range of applications, I guess. You mentioned automotive and medical and IoT, but yeah, tell us a little bit more about some of the sort of target applications you've got and where these might fit and the kind of resources, I guess, that you've got to sort of help engineers get these designed in.
Sure. So we mentioned automotive, but I would like to a little broaden the scope and that's why we are talking about vehicle electronics. It's not just automotive from the perspective of passenger cars. Yes, we are active and we are supporting and we have products that could be in the cabin of the car to enable communication. After all, cars are also consumer products. Everybody, any of us, they're using a car, and they're using we are using a mobile phone as well.
Yeah.
And the point is also to have them seamlessly communicate. The part is how we call it consumer integration, and exactly because we have long history and deep know-how in the consumer industry, we also have the knowledge of how to make those ends meet from the wireless connectivity perspective. So we have the antennas that can be designed in the infotainment systems of the car, so that they can communicate with the mobile devices of the user, of the driver. But also we enable the connectivity for all the technology that is now included in a car or even a commercial vehicle, regarding the cameras, the sensors, the display panels. You have now cars filled with touch displays, and of course everything has to be very reliable. So this is very much in line with the quality levels that Molex have by default in our development lines.
Okay, cool.
Something else, mentioning cameras, I would also like to extend it even further. So cameras, yes, they are included in the cars and in the vehicles and the commercial vehicles that we see. They are now mandatory as far as commercial vehicles are concerned. But we also see it in a variety of applications. You may have machine vision, you may have surveillance systems. Surveillance systems require wireless connectivity more and more, and of course reliable connectivity. It has to be they have to be able to connect either through the mobile networks or in close range networks. You have now, people have little understanding for lag in the communication and the signal transmissions of the camera, so they are high performing, high resolution imaging, and you need high performing components
Yeah.
to make the whole system work in that way, right? So this is definitely a trend that we see and that we are supporting with our product and our know-how. And the next thing that I would like to use as an example of an application that everything that we have in our portfolio as a micro solutions provider is the point of sale terminals. If you look at the point of sale terminals, the most modern ones, and if you look at the mobile phone, sometimes you see the same thing. And all of these requirements regarding contactless pay, even in the situation that we are today, the difficult days that we have with the pandemic, contactless pay has been a big solution, a great solution for keeping people safe. We have also seen that the limits for contactless payments have been increased to enable that possibility. So we are working closely with point of sale terminal manufacturers and solution providers, and we are enabling the wireless connectivity of their devices, the touch displays that they are using. Of course, in order to have them handy, these devices, they have to be very small. They have to fit in your pockets. And we see these devices being deployed in all kinds of applications, from small businesses to taxis to private people. So that's definitely something that we are supporting very, very closely, and we're very excited to be part of. And of course, the security requirements are very important. And we also have specialty technologies that can help creating the security around these applications.
Yeah, I guess as well, like some of these applications, I'm assuming they're potentially using more than one antenna. I guess in there you've got NFC, you've got a Wi-Fi, or you might have cellular, or you might have, any 2.4 gig type technology. So yeah, I guess space is obviously key for some of these things. And you're right, point of sale is huge now. I mean, even now you could go to your little coffee van and they don't take cash anymore. They're using these little things. They are definitely one of the big rising trends, I think, to for anyone who's a vendor, who's a small independent trader. These are becoming very popular. So I think the cost of these, getting the cost down of these and the size is very, very important.
Yes, it is very, very important. And as you said, multiple antennas are required. We are actively involved in applications where, let me remember, it has a cellular antenna, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz antenna. It has, of course, the NFC antenna for the contactless pay, and a wireless charging coil.
Of course, yeah.
That enables, easy, quick charging for the user of the device, which is actually the business or the person who's operating the device. So yes, a very high density of wireless solutions in one device is that, and that's why I wanted to include that today, so that we can show that not only mobile phones require that kind of density in wireless connectivity, and Molex has the knowledge and the products and the capabilities to make such products a reality.
Yeah, I think that's super important as well, because having all those antennas and radios in close proximity of each other, you've got to have good quality antennas so that you're not getting that interference, which is very, very difficult to. It's a big challenge, when you're designing small applications like that and you've got all that radio around and all those antennas to deal with. So that's really cool.
Okay. Correct. And actually, I would like to use that as transition to the next thing that I wanted to mention is, with what you said is true. It's a great challenge. It's a very big challenge. And what matters is not just the antenna design itself, but also how you implement these antennas. So let me just show an overview of what kind of antennas Molex has in the portfolio. And I would like to connect it to what we said before, that Molex is actually coming from the industry, the consumer industry and the mobile industry, making antennas for very compact, very dense devices. So the starting point for Molex was what we call here embedded antennas and internal cabled antennas. These are the first kind of antennas that we created with the knowledge that we have from making mobile antennas until now. And they were designed in such a way that can be that they are compact, they can be easily implemented in the devices, but at the same time we have a very, very good understanding that designing an off-the-shelf antenna comes with a lot of restrictions, so to speak.
Yes.
Because an antenna is a product or a component that is greatly influenced by its surroundings. So that is the biggest challenge that we have to overcome. And we know that doing that with a custom antenna, you have the flexibility to adapt the design and achieve the performance that you require by making maybe a more complex design integrated in the device. That is always possible, but that is also very costly.
Yeah.
So what we are doing, and I'm going to talk about our external antennas maybe later, but I think it's a good point to jump a couple of slides ahead, because I think it is important to say what is the most important thing after we select the appropriate antenna. And what do we mean by appropriate antenna? We mean that the antenna, we have to decide what it should be. Is it an antenna that should be soldered on the board? Do we have the space that will allow that? Is it an antenna that should be adhered on the housing of the device?
Yeah.
Is it an antenna that would have to be external, outside of the housing of the device? These are the very basic things, the first things that we have to think about. And then think about the frequency. What kind of frequency? Is it a 2.4 gigahertz antenna for Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, or even Zigbee? I mean, we can use the same antenna for all of those as long as it supports the frequency. And after we have that and we have identified the right product, Molex has, let's say, brought this know-how into the literature that we have supporting every antenna that we have in our portfolio. And we help the customer identify the optimal location in their devices. And how do we do that? We have already measured the antenna performance in various locations on our reference design. And we are bringing this information and we are showing this information in graphs in our application spec, so that the customer, even though they don't have the designer, let's say the designer of the device, even though they don't have the defined numbers regarding the performance, because they can only be measured on the specific device, they have an understanding of what is the trend of the performance variation depending on the location. So this alone gives the layouter the information that they require to place the antenna at the best possible location early on in the design. If you are designing a wireless device, the very first thing that you have to think about is the position of the antenna. If you do that, you are on a very, very good path to use an off-the-shelf antenna and save a lot of money and time from the development of the product. The next step would be to make sure that there is enough distance clearance from any components that would influence the performance of the antenna, and that may be either other components like the battery or a shield from a chip, or even the PCB itself, if the main board itself, if we are talking about a cabled antenna. If you adhere the cabled antenna on the housing of the device, then the PCB itself represents the ground plane, and we have that information available in the application specification of the products, so that the designers can anticipate the performance variation as a function of this distance. And very important, of course, is the matching. If you have an SMT antenna, it would require matching so that we avoid any reflections of the energy that is being fed from the radio in the antenna. And we also include the information that is required regarding the locations that have to be put in place, so that if required, the right components can be added for the matching network. So all of this information is available on the application spec.
Brilliant. Okay.
And to conclude, maybe just to summarize all of that, to make it clear, I show here a couple of pictures that indicate what I was talking about before. We represent on the embedded antenna, we are showing how we place in different distances, we place a source of interference or an interfering part of the assembly of the whole product, so that we can anticipate the variation in the performance. But we are also giving the information about the cable routing, some very basic but very valuable information. So in that way, our customers can save time from the development cycles. They can save money because they don't have to spend for a custom antenna development. That can be done by very quickly identifying the optimal location for the antennas, regardless if it is an embedded or a cabled antenna. And of course, for cabled antennas in specific, we are indicating some basic instructions or how to route the cable, so that you can avoid loss from such a trivial thing like routing the cable. So that was, I think, the most important information that I had to share today as far as what we do and what we have available for helping the designers implement our antennas in their products.
Brilliant. So for those design engineers watching, what we'll do is we'll share a link, Savvas, down to the Molex website, and this is where they can find all this great information that will help them along their way. And this is great. I mean, I think it means that you don't have to be a complete expert in antenna design. I think there's some great points here and some great tips that will help anyone who's trying to create an application that needs an antenna to help them along the way to get the best results possible, like you say, in the quickest time, and then saving money. I think if you can get away with not doing a custom antenna, it makes perfect sense, right? You guys have got such a great portfolio of off-the-shelf products that most people, I guess, for general applications will be able to integrate that into relatively easily by the looks of it, which is great, which is really good.
Correct. And if you let me share another set of slides with you, I just very quickly flip through a couple of product overviews. We may not want to go into detail with these, just a very brief overview, because I also wanted to mention and highlight, because we spoke a lot about the internal antennas.
Yes.
That what we have been doing recently is also to expand our external antenna product portfolio. In the end of last year, we did that extensively. We had a major rollout of external antenna products, and we are now building up on that. and we are bringing out even now more sophisticated products, multi-band antennas, and even antennas that include multi-input, multi-output cellular structures combined with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, MIMO, and geolocation in one package.
Wow, I mean that's
Would
really
be
important. I
really
think.
interesting. Yeah, let me just show you a couple of slides that we have.
I think you say with the evolving applications today, especially with things like wearables and anything that, remote monitoring type applications, I think having a multi-band antenna like that will save a lot of space and interference potentially. And so, that's really cool.
Correct. So let me just jump on that here. I will just share that screen. Let me know if you can see that.
That looks good.
Okay, great. What I have here is a couple of overviews that we have, and you can see it includes both internal antennas, and I have also highlighted some of our latest releases. For example, here you see a multi-input, multi-output 2.4 and 5 gigahertz antenna. So the first release that we had was a 2x2, and now we have launched a 4x4 antenna that is extremely useful when you are trying to create applications where MIMO is important. It has already considered what you said before, the interference, the isolation between the antennas, and so on. And I'm just flipping through the products very quickly just to show you. This is actually something also very important or very interesting, because we are also expanding our ultra-wideband antenna portfolio. We are creating products that are that can be utilized in those, let's say, over 6 gigahertz, but in that could also be used in DSRC applications at 5.9 gigahertz, or other asset tracking applications where ultra-wideband functionality is relevant. I'm showing you here a couple of new releases in our 2.4 and 5 gigahertz embedded antenna portfolio. But here, that's what I was going for. These are the releases that we have from the external antennas for the 2.4 and 5. These are already available, and they are here since the end of 2019. And the same goes for our LTE antennas, our cellular antennas. But here, that's what I was mentioning about the X-in-1. We have right now 3-in-1, but what is coming up is also a 5-in-1 antenna that is not just including a cellular antenna, but a MIMO cellular antenna. We are working right now, we already have the first samples available that we are working on measuring and testing intensively, and it is including a 2x2 cellular antenna, and what we are going to be releasing by the end of this year, at the latest by early next year, is an X-in-1 antenna, a 5-in-1 antenna that would include a 4x4 cellular MIMO as well.
Oh.
Next to 2.4 and 5 gigahertz MIMO and geolocation RTK antennas. Having that said, RTK, so we also have right now already available an LTE and GPS combo.
Okay.
That can be utilized in our RTKs, our high accuracy stacked patch antennas are already available as well. So I would encourage anybody who is interested to take a look at the Molex website. And actually, we can also try to do that now. We can take a look very quickly. So you see that we have that available on our website also to download, and people can also very quickly click on the links. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for the people who are interested to access the information of our products. And what I mentioned before, you can access the Molex website, and anything you'd find, specifically the application specification documentation, can be just downloaded and used and referred to. So we have put a lot of work in creating this documentation. So I encourage people to do that. You will find information relative to how the antennas were tested, and also I'm going to very quickly flip through the pages so that you see what kind of information you can find regarding
you've got the patterns there. Brilliant. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that is very, very useful, and I encourage anybody to get on our website and find the information that they are looking for. And if you can't, let us know. They should also talk to their representatives with RS, and then we can find their information to support them.
That'd be great. Yeah. So RS, we cover quite a lot of your range, so we should have most of those things here in stock as well, which would be great. But that's really cool. So Savvas, thank you so much. That's really interesting. Great overview. Anything else you wanted to leave us with, or it looks good to me?
Well, I think we said it all, right? That's what we're trying to do, is create value for the people who are building wireless devices, and we're trying to make it easy for them to implement our antennas in their devices, even if they have limited resources for doing antenna design. They don't have to know that much, to be honest, so that they can start. They can leverage the information that we make available on our website, and we are here to support specific requests if the information is not available. So make sure that you keep tracking, because new products are released normally every quarter. To be absolutely honest with you, we had to slow down a little bit because of the pandemic restrictions. So now, but we still have several new products that will be released in the coming quarters. So stay tuned and make sure that you check the Molex website and RS to find out the latest releases.
That's great. Brilliant. Thank you again, Savvas. That's brilliant. So thank you for sharing that today. You're very welcome. Very interesting. And hope to speak to you again soon. Thank you. Goodbye.
Anytime. Goodbye.